Chapter 2, Void Father. They rounded the tree several times in their play, losing track of the hours until suddenly Nightmare scrambled to a halt. Standing there on the path, having crossed the bridge, was a little mouse monster with a long scarf dragging behind him. He stood, baffled, staring at the skeleton children with wide brown eyes. Who are you?" Dream stopped too, just behind the tree, and watched. "Us? Who are you?" Nightmare asserted. I came to get an apple, that's all. Just one. What are you two doing up here? And naked, too," said the mouse. "Naked?" Dream tilted his head. "What? An apple?" said Nightmare, looking at the fruits on the ground and up in the tree. "Well, you can't have them. There are apples." "What? Are you here to steal them?" The mouse lifted his tiny fists. The threatening gesture made Nightmare's shoulders stiffen. "No, there are apples. This is our tree. You just can't take something that belongs to us." Thief! You can't steal the whole tree!" The mouse monster bounced in place. Dream crept out of hiding into Nightmare's side. "He just wants one apple, right? That should be all right, shouldn't it?" "But he's accusing us of stealing our own tree." Dream would ignore Nightmare, bending over in an attempt to appease the monster. "It looks like there's two types. Do you want one of the dark ones or one of the golden ones?" "Huh? Are you stupid or something?" The mouse put his hands on his hips. "No one eats the dark ones. They're bad." "Hey, don't call us stupid," said Nightmare. "No, it's okay, said Dream, mediating between them. In a moment, he picked up a fresh golden apple from the ground and handed it to the monster. "Here, this is what you want, right?" The mouse blinked before cautiously taking the apple. "You two are weird. Get some clothes," he said, before sprinting off, over the bridge and down a path that descended the cliff. "That was weird," Dream muttered before looking back to his brother. Nightmare crossed his arms. "We're not stupid." "I don't think he meant it," said Dream, before picking up one of the dark apples. "He said these ones were bad. I wonder what he meant by that." Nightmare really wasn't sure either. The tree, growing both golden and dark apples, it just seemed natural for it to do so. Besides, he wasn't very fond of that mouse monster and quickly decided that his words had been meaningless. Not realizing they overexerted themselves, Dream and Nightmare sat at the base of the tree to rest. Leaning against one another, they mused about what could be beyond the cliffs and the trees, though neither felt safe about wandering the more accessible white sea behind them. "That monster from before, he said we were naked and we should get clothes," said Dream. "Do you think that's what he was wearing? That thing that dragged the ground?" Nightmare nodded in agreement, his eyes shut. "Where do we even get clothes?" "Probably from where he came from." "We should get some then. Maybe if we follow the path." Nightmare stretched and yawned, rolling to his side. "Maybe later." He wasn't in a hurry to find out where their little friend had run off to. After a moment, Dream yawned too, laying in the grass beside him. "I can't wait to see it all." The shadow of the tree moved slowly, passing over them until the light faded. A golden light radiated from the west, turning pink then purple before everything faded to darkness. Even the white sea, which seemed to emit a light of its own, went completely black once the sun had gone down. The sound of crickets loomed over the brothers as they slept, and even the hooting of an owl. But then it all stopped. Utter silence, even the breeze, as if the world was holding its breath. Nightmare was awoken by the silence. The nerves in his bones cried for movement as he sat up, looking around. It was dark, so dark. He couldn't see a single thing, not even his brother beside him. He had to reach out and touch Dream to know he was there. Dream's eyelights pierced the darkness, meeting his own. "Huh? Why is it so dark?" said Dream. "I think it's nighttime." "Nighttime? But is it supposed to be this dark?" Nightmare stood, holding onto the tree to orient himself. It took a while before he could see the stretch of grass before him, but not by much. "It's quiet, too. It can't be quiet like that, can it?" I'm not sure. I don't think I like it," said Dream, standing beside him. Trying to see beyond the grass, Nightmare stared into the darkness. There, he thought he saw something, like glitching or gray boxes floating in the darkness. Shoulders stiffened. They were being watched. Dream blinked several times, following his gaze. Is something out there? Who are you? Why are you watching us? Nightmare called out. He figured if it was nothing, there wouldn't be any harm in doing so. But the silence remained for many long seconds. Nightmare was about to give up, assuming he was just seeing things when there was a sudden crunch of grass. He felt Dream grab him, clinging close. As the crunching continued again and again, there was someone there, approaching them, the glitching growing more intense. Stop! Just answer me! Nightmare called again. Behind the glitching, he could catch glimpses of a face, something pale, something smiling, with a wide, unshutting eye. The brothers pulled each other around the tree, trying to hide, though both knew the futility of this. Drawing closer, the eerie figure towered over them, touching their tree with a pale, skeletal hand. Something like a voice came out of the glitches as it bent over, creeping closer to them. Nightmare couldn't make heads or tails of what it meant. What do you want? Our apples? Just take them and leave us alone! The figure seemed to chuckle at that. Dream screamed, a hand from the other side of the trunk grabbing him, ripping him away from his brother. Though Nightmare tried to catch him, he too was torn away from the other side before both were reunited in front of the figure. The sound of the static filled Nightmare's skull. Something like a stinging fuzz hit his face. Dream kept screaming, Nightmare's voice joining his as they both resisted. But it was so dark. Nightmare felt more hands grabbing his legs and throat, and then, I made you. You belong to me. Nightmare awoke with a deep gasp. Bones aching, covered in mud, he felt beaten to an inch of his life. Groaning, the boy turned over, realizing he was not by his tree, but somewhere in the forest. Though it was still dark, there were some stars in the sky beyond the leaves, providing the faintest light. Dream! Dream! Nightmare cried out, looking all around. He could feel his soul pounding in his ribs. Pushing down the pain, he got to his feet, desperately attempting to adjust himself. He could hear the sound of the breeze and insects, but they were fading again, fading back to silence. No, don't do that. Don't do that! He knew if it was silent again, the dark figure would be back. He found a place to hide, ducking into a thicket and looking around, holding his breath. Eventually, the silence came again, but it was interrupted by a glitching heave. Laughing? Nightmare could see the pitch-black form of the figure stepping through the brush, dangerously close to him. You cannot hide from me, Nightmare. I made you. Come out, or I'll drag you out. Sure enough, as Nightmare refused to obey, the hands came ripping through the brush, dragging him across the ground and into the air. He screamed, surrounded by the static again. You lied! No one made us! We made ourselves! He declared. The figure laughed. You're wrong. I planted the seed that the witnesses desired. Only I can be credited with your birth. I'll be loved and admired by them all, and they'll watch, entertained for all eternity by what I do to you. Oh, Nightmare, do I have plans for you? How I can wait to sacrifice you in all your innocence. How they'll feel so sorry for you. The voice violated Nightmare's soul in a way he couldn't understand. It surrounded him, chained him, prodded him like something freshly butchered. But then a golden light appeared with a crashing boom. The figure screamed as something hit it, dropping Nightmare to the ground. Another light came. As Nightmare looked towards it, he saw his brother holding something, a spear of light. He threw it at the creature again and again, anger in his eyes as blood dripped down his skull from multiple scratches. The creature screamed, shrinking away. Dream ran up to Nightmare, helping him up. Nightmare, are you okay? No, he answered honestly. Holding on to each other, they looked to where the assailant stood. It cried out in agony, hissing with static before running into the darkness. But they weren't prepared to stick around to see if it was over. Hands gripped tightly, both boys ran in the opposite direction, stumbling in the dark over fallen branches and roots. Slowly, the sounds of the forest returned, but they didn't stop. Both terrified beyond their imaginations, they ran, even as they felt pain stinging their ribs. It wasn't until they heard voices ahead that they slowed their pace to a stop, ducking behind a tree. Dream stumbled. His eyelids went out as he fell, Nightmare almost tripping over him. "Dream!" Nightmare said in an urgent whisper. He grabbed his brother, pulling him close as the voices grew louder. Glowing orange lights flickered through the darkness. "Did you see anything? Hear anything?" came a deep voice. "No, Your Highness, not now." "What was that sound? It sounded like several explosions." "Those were no explosions. That sound came from a magic attack, I'm sure of it," said a woman's voice. Nightmare held his breath, holding his brother close and unable to check why he'd passed out. In a moment, Dream came to, clinging to him as well. The lights grew closer. Neither had the strength to get up and run. If they would even be able to outrun this new threat? What if they just ended back up where that first creature was? Fear overcame them, and soon they both closed their eyes, curling into one another, shaking in terror. "Your Majesty, there's someone here! I think it's two kids!" Still, Nightmare didn't raise his gaze. Just end it. Make it stop. He hated the fear he felt more than the pain. Whatever this was, he wanted it to be over. "Oh my God," came the deep voice. He felt Dream lift his head first. His brother's bones shook less. It gave him the courage to open his sockets too, eyelights dodging between a dozen figures holding torches in front of them. More monsters, but much taller than the mouse that had visited them before. There was a really big one, a giant goat man with huge horns. Beside him stood another goat monster, who wasn't as tall but dressed just as regally as the first. She covered a mouth in a gasp. "Oh goodness, they're as naked as the jaybirds!" Neither of them said a word, both staring fearfully at those surrounding them. The lady goat monster approached them slowly, her hands opened as she leaned down. "Children, what are you doing out here? Where are your parents?" "They're not from our village. We don't have any skeletons," said one of the monsters. Still, Dream nor Nightmare answered, not from a lack of wanting or any reason to be disrespectful, but the encounter with the glitching creature was still fresh in their minds. Something prevented them from finding the words. "Oh, they're terrified. Here, you must be cold." The goat lady took off the cloak from around her shoulders. Slowly reaching out, she started by offering it from her hand. When neither boys reacted to the gesture, she gently wrapped it around them both. "Did they cause all that noise?" someone asked. "Perhaps. Seems like they were running from something," said the goat man. "What do you think, Toriel, my bride?" "We must bring them back, feed them and treat their wounds. Maybe we can find their parents in the morning," said Toriel. The goat man nodded. "Sounds like a plan. Do you think you can carry them?" Toriel smiled warmly. "Oh, they seem small enough. Is that all right? Can I carry you?" Dream and Nightmare stared for a moment before Dream gave it the tiniest nod. "All right, up we go, very slowly now," she spoke gently. Big fluffy arms wrapped around them, lifting them up from the ground. They were soft, softer than the grass they'd slept in the night before. It was nice, and Nightmare found himself leaning into her. But she was a stranger. He couldn't be letting his guard down like this. Still, he couldn't help himself. Whoever she was, she seemed nice. He wanted to trust her. There, you're safe now, I promise. We'll take you back to our home, get you some warm soup and bread, and you can rest easy the rest of the night. We'll get you back to your family in the morning. Everything is going to be all right now." Nightmare felt his sockets growing heavy with exhaustion. He looked to Dream, who was also on the edge of passing out. As Toriel walked, carrying them both, the rocking of her movements felt so comforting. A soft tune hummed in her throat. Nightmare was powerless to fight against the pull into sleep.